If you are suffering from erectile dysfunction, you just landed on the most important video of your life.
ED miracles saved my marriage. It's as simple as that.
I was rock hard, like I was a teenager again. I couldn't believe it.
Here's the latest from my urologist. Your erectile dysfunction appears to be completely reversed. No further treatment is needed.
Why are the pharmaceutical companies scared to death of this video? Why is there so much buzz about this video on social media that our servers are about to explode? Simple. This video does something that's never been done before. It exposes the true cause of erectile dysfunction, found by 2 Nobel Prize winners, and gives you the natural treatment that ends ED for good, no matter what your age, and all without costing you a penny. If that sounds good to you, buckle up, because your erectile dysfunction is about to be eradicated in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Have you ever lay in your bed and watched your wife fast asleep, moaning and groaning, sweating and squirming, and then, as she's barely able to contain herself, screams out the name of a man, and you realize the name isn't yours? I'm Tom Bradford, and that woman was my wife of 22 years, Denise. I was the guy next to her, feeling like my abdomen had just gone through a meat grinder, and that happened exactly a year and a half ago. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what led to my wife doing that, how it was completely my fault, and how your wife could be having the very same dreams right now, if you don't make some changes fast. You're about to find out exactly what those changes are and how to make them happen quickly and easily in the next 24 hours. And all I ask in return is 2 things. Number 1, you give me your complete and undivided attention, and number 2, you make an honest commitment to watch this until it's completely over. Because those who do that are the only ones who get these results. This video is short, and I'll be blunt. The information is controversial, 100% accurate, but it's controversial because the powers that be don't want you to hear what you're about to hear. Because it's a knife in the heart of some of their best-selling products, worth billions to their bottom line. Our website is safely up right now, but we don't know for how long. So take this warning seriously. Shut down all other tabs, turn your phone off, open a notepad and get ready to take notes, because if you're suffering from ED, you'll never watch a video more important than this in your lifetime. There's nothing that crushes your self-esteem more than ED. I've been there, and I feel for you. But I'm also excited for you, because soon you'll not only know the true cause, you will know how to treat your ED directly from the source. Your wife is soon to become the happiest woman of all her friends, because if you watch this video and do what it says, in 24 hours, I promise you, here and now, you will have in your pants, or maybe out of your pants, a completely full, bulging, pulsating erection standing at attention that will make any woman's eyes light up with desire and anticipation. And you will do it without any pills, without any pumps, without any injections, without any surgeries, without exercises. Some call this natural Viagra, because it truly will be the next big thing on the market over the coming year. And I want you to know, even though this solution is new on the market, you're no guinea pig. Before we open this website, we've been busy behind the scenes testing our formula around the clock, and in the process, created over 10,469 success stories. The success stories were just pouring in so fast from men, wives, and girlfriends, all feeling the effects from age 20 to age 90. We saw so many lives changed, so many marriages saved. We knew it was time for this to go public. So, without further delay, let's talk about your erection. Well, that's pretty awkward. Let's start by talking about my erection first. Going through grade school, erections were my worst enemy. I couldn't stop them. In the shower, in the middle of class, in a restaurant whenever the waitress came around to take the order. Before getting up from a chair, I usually had to wait 2 minutes thinking about the Mets and channeling the Holy Ghost just so it would just go down. That was age 8. Fast forward to me at age 47. The same penis, but a very different story. Married happily, and yet erections hardly ever happen anymore. I noticed my erections were just getting a little softer than they used to be. Didn't think much of it. I was still in the game. Until one night, it was time to perform with Denise, and I panicked. It was just too soft to do anything with. What the hell? This can't be happening. We waited, and we tried everything while we waited, and I mean everything. And then, 45 minutes later, we gave up, and we realized it wasn't going to happen. I went to sleep feeling a little like the Pop Warner quarterback whose mom just bursts onto the field between a play to fix his shoulder pads. A humiliation, a disgrace. I felt I didn't even deserve to call myself a man, because a man is someone who can please a woman, which means a man is someone whose penis actually works. I was up all night, and she wasn't sleeping much either. We spoke a bit around 3 a.m. and decided that it could just be an isolated incident. We'll wait and see if it blows over. But it didn't blow over. It happened again the very next night. And I knew with certainty that if this went on, it was going to spell the end of our marriage. Why? Well, this is a bit personal, but as you know, all women need sex. But for my wife, it's a little different. It's not just a need she can ignore for a year or two. It's her day-to-day coping mechanism. Everyone has a coping mechanism, a way to relieve the stress of the day so you can get through it. For some, it's smoking. For some, it's shopping. For some, it's just talking on the phone. But for her, it was sex. It was her main way of coping and staying relaxed. And for that reason, we had a lot of it, and I was good at it. And that's how our marriage worked. And now, as much as she loved me, and I knew she did, every night that went by that I couldn't satisfy that need, she started losing her cool. She was losing her ability to cope. I could see her mind racing each night, not knowing what to do with herself. And I really felt bad for her on this particular night when her sexual frustration was totally obvious. But I wasn't expecting it to end quite like this. She's clearly in a dream state, having a sexual fantasy. I can tell by her movements and her breathing and her, well, panting. She's getting more and more into it, which I must admit I found extremely hot. And then her mouth opens and she lets out a cry that pierced through the night. "Oh, Mark!" And I'm like, whoa, my name's not Mark. It took me a minute to even process this. That's some other guy she's fantasizing about. Who the hell is Mark? Was that somebody at work? Well, I wasn't sure completely, but I knew that whoever Mark was, he could probably get it up. Unlike me. My heart felt like it had gone through a magic bullet blender. I was paralyzed, staring up at the ceiling for hours, and I started questioning everything, even my very own identity. Do I even have any right to be married to her if I can't satisfy her? Doesn't she deserve better than to live with someone sexually handicapped like me? Why should she suffer her whole life because I can't perform the way every other normal man can? And then it happened again, on another night. The next morning, I could barely look at her. I tried to play it cool, but she could see something was wrong, and she had no idea what it was. "Guess what?" she says, trying to break the ice. "I found that hat you were looking for." "Oh, thanks." And I mutter under my breath, like that matters. I would never say insulting things like that, but I was burning with rage inside. She says, "What?" I said, "I just said it doesn't matter." "What do you mean it doesn't matter? I spent a lot of time looking for that, and you've been asking me where it was for days," she yells. I'm completely boiling over inside at this point, and somebody is about to get burned. "Damn it, Denise," I said as I slammed my fist on the table, knocking a fork to the ground. "This isn't about the hat. That doesn't matter. Do you know what you've been doing each night when you're sleeping?" "What?" she said, completely clueless. I said, "You've been fantasizing about having sex with some other guy named Mark. And loud, too. Really loud." Her face turned bright red. And suddenly, the floor pattern became really interesting to her. Then she just went back to the scrambled eggs, turning her back on me. She didn't speak, and I didn't speak, for what seemed like 10 minutes. We were just there, like strangers. And then, at a certain point, she runs over to me, tears all over her face, falls into my arms, crying. And the sight of her, I'm crying instantly too. She didn't say much. She just said, "I would never cheat on you, Tom." My mind is just all effed up right now, from everything. I knew exactly what everything was, and I didn't quite know where these words came from. But it occurred to me to say, "It's okay. It's my fault, honey, not yours." I haven't done a damn thing to fix this, and I'm gonna fix this, Denise. I'm gonna fix it if it's the last thing I do. She said okay, and we clenched our hands together, both wishing things were different. And that was all that was said that day. If you've had this experience yourself, please know it's not that they don't love you. That doesn't change. They just have biological needs. Just like a human needs food, they need to be sexually satisfied, or they leave you, literally or emotionally. They'll find what they need with someone else or something else, and you can't let that happen. You can't force a woman to suffocate, and you can't let your marriage fall apart. But it will if you do nothing, and doing nothing isn't really an option, because when a bodybuilder stops working out, the muscles atrophy and disappear. Well, the penis is no different. The more you don't use it, the more you lose it. That was the predicament I faced at that time. I knew I had to take massive action to do something about this. I knew a cure had to be out there, and I was going to find it. My urologist wasn't much help. For me, he had Viagra and Cialis, and even a suppository you could stick up there to cause a temporary erection. Even if these worked, which they don't for everyone, what would that do for the mood? What would sex be like when you have to plan it 20 minutes in advance? And how turned on will I feel putting something the wrong direction up my urethra before sex? It all seemed wrong to me. I didn't want a Band-Aid. I wanted to be rid of this. I wanted to undo whatever caused my ED. I wanted my old erection back, the way it used to be. I decided I would do whatever it took to get that. So I hit the books to find out what was really going on. I spent hours flipping through scientific journals, looking at the latest research. And the first thing I realized is, when it comes to what causes ED, there's no mystery there. It's been well established for anyone who cares to look it up, that ED is about one thing. It's all about the capillaries, the little tiny blood vessels running through your penis. In an ED person, the capillaries get clogged. It's clogged by a certain kind of plaque, which is actually made out of cholesterol. When your sink is clogged, the water can't get down the drain, and when your capillaries are clogged, blood can't get in for the same reason. And when blood can't get in, you stay limp. And when I learned this, I was pretty surprised. I started asking, if this is such basic knowledge, why is Viagra the go-to treatment for ED? Viagra is a temporary fix that has nothing to do with this blockage. It has nothing to do with unclogging anything. Saying Viagra is a treatment for ED, this is like saying vodka is a treatment for happiness. Maybe for an hour, but as soon as it wears off, those problems are usually worse. So why do they keep giving us Viagra? Answer, $5.4 billion. So let me ask you, what if we could do something about the actual problem, about the actual clogging? I started to dream about what a real solution would look like. I mean, if it's like a drain, I figured, that moment when you plunge that toilet and everything actually goes down in one shot, that feeling of triumph you get after all your hard work. What if there was a way to do that with ED? My focus from that point was on one thing, the coveted unclogging. I asked, how do you get rid of that damn plaque? I heard a thing called chelation therapy can do this, but then I heard one of the side effects of chelation therapy is death, and that was a side effect I just wasn't ready for. On YouTube, a lot of people were telling me to eat a lot of bananas and watermelon for this problem. So I did. It was delicious. But it did nothing for my erection. So I went a little deeper, and I asked, if we're going to unclog something, maybe we should know more about the stuff that's doing the clogging. What is this clog material? We said it was cholesterol, but that's not the whole truth. Here's the big reveal. Where was this cholesterol coming from? At first, I thought it was from my diet, but I was wrong. It turns out almost all of the cholesterol in the capillaries is made by your own body. Why was my body making so much cholesterol? Then something dawned on me. It was my dad. He had early stage heart disease, and that's exactly what heart disease is, high cholesterol in the blood. I started to read up on that connection and find out that ED is an early warning sign of heart disease. In fact, 93% of people who experienced heart attacks had ED first. Bingo. There was a strong connection between heart disease and erectile dysfunction. I was worried, but this research led me to something I never expected. There were 2 Nobel Prizes given out this past decade for research making this very connection I was making. These 2 laureates found that weakened capillaries were the key issues. The body, in an effort to reverse the damage, actually produces cholesterol to patch, or said another way, clog the capillaries. And suddenly, the blood trying to get in is met with a locked and barricaded door and sent away. Now, I didn't really know where this research was leading me until I remembered my father had started taking something recently that he was going nuts over. He said by taking this one thing, it allowed him to go off all his heart medications within about 6 months. We all threw a big party for him when his doctor told him his arteries were clear. So I said to myself, whatever he was doing was lowering his cholesterol levels. Maybe that could help me unclog. So I asked him what he was taking. He explained to me. The secret was in a certain shake he drank every day, which had several special ingredients. He said the more he drank of it, the more his cholesterol levels would drop, until he achieved completely normal cholesterol readings and no symptoms of heart disease to be found. I didn't want to tell him why I needed it, so I just asked point blank, Dad,